There is this scene that keeps popping into my head. When I was about 8 months into traveling, I was in London and I was hanging out with a really good friend of mine. And I don't know why this scene keeps popping into my head, but it does. I remember we were walking by a park and we were about to walk under this bridge. And it's a gloomy day. We're wearing warm clothes. She's about 5 to 10 paces ahead of me, and I'm having a little crisis. And I say to her, I'm just trying to figure out who I am. I don't know who I am. And it blew my mind how she was not plagued by the same question herself. And I think that was like a big reason why I decided to travel. There's many reasons, but one of them that was important for me was to figure out who it is that I was. I felt that things were too easy for me. I was too comfortable. And I didn't know how I really dealt with conflict. I did, but I wanted to see who I really was. What happens when you remove this safety net? Who am I? And I had spoke on the phone with this friend a couple of days ago, and I was telling them where I am at in my life right now. And I said something that brought me back to that moment near that bridge so long ago, 2 years now. And I was mentioning how confident I'm feeling about the direction I'm headed. And I said the words, because I know who I am. And when I said that, it felt like everything came full circle. It was like, whoa, this wasn't always the case. I didn't always know who I was. A lot of people saw my potential and like could see that I'm on the path to doing great things in life. But I couldn't see that myself for whatever reason. Maybe just the environment that I was in, or maybe just like who it is that I am. Maybe it's a combination of both. The truth is, like, I'll never know. I suppose I can ask people. I have like ideas in terms of why, but I think it's a combination between the challenges that I've had to overcome, the lessons I had to learn, the hardship I had to process really early on in my life. But here I was in my early to mid 20s, feeling completely lost in terms of who it is that I was. I didn't know. So I hope that this video does a couple things. I hope that this video helps put into perspective what it looks like, what it looked like for me at least, to really get to know who it is that I am. And the second thing I hope this video does is inspire you to take on that challenge head on if you are also plagued by that question. So, who I am. How did I get to the point where I know who I am? And let's start off with like, who am I? Well, in about 2 weeks, I have a vasectomy scheduled. And more than ever, I've had to like face the reality of that decision. Obviously, because it's on the books and it's coming up. And I requested time off of work for it as well. And I feel that I am a character who is going to go down in history. I think that I have enough potential to be a historical figure. And I think that it is just not meant for me to have children. And it's like, we can argue this all day, and I've done it. I've argued, not all day, but I've argued with many people around this. There's how, like, they are trying to get me to see their perspective, which I'm like, dude, I just don't understand that. I don't understand that, like, strong inner knowing of, like, yeah, yeah, I want kids. I'm like, kids? There's no way. I don't fucking want kids. But I feel like kids would be a hindrance to me and in my life. I don't feel like I'm destined for that. And it's like, this is not something that I logically think of. I feel that I'm very in tune with the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it. And I let that guide me. And I make decisions listening to that intuitive feeling inside myself, even if I don't understand what they fully mean. It's like, oh, my intuition is telling me that I should do this. Okay, we'll do it. All right, you say so. And because I know that's what I really want. But there's just so much fear that can be around intuition because it requires you to actually listen to yourself, and maybe at one point in your life you were told you aren't allowed to do something or you're not allowed to be something, and someone made you feel bad for being wrong. There's so many reasons why we learn to distrust ourselves and we disconnect from ourselves, from our own truth in terms of like what is right for how we live, and we sacrifice that for the approval and validation of others and society. So I fully understand that I'm a crazy ass person. And the thing is that's crazy about it is I feel like I'm also observing this character. I'm also observing myself because I feel like I am a, a, a being, and I take the position of like observation of who this person is. What things does this person find funny? That's me, right? Like what things do I find funny? What things are real and near and dear to my heart? And I don't I don't break that. I listened to that shit fully. And it's challenging to come to acceptance of certain things. But I feel like what's in the cards for me is just things that are just bigger than I can ever possibly imagine. Bigger than I could possibly ever imagine. And kids aren't just in my cards. So what I think knowing who you are starts with is being aware of yourself and not judging what the truth you feel inside is for you. If you don't like how someone talks to you or how someone looks at you, instead of like trying to convince yourself of something logically, out like something else to try to justify things, listen to that. Say, oh no, like it's true. I really do not like that person. I don't like this. I do like this. I do like when people talk to me like this. I like when people treat me like this. Because the thing is, for me, I've had messages put into my head over the course of my life in terms of other people's realities. And I discounted my own reality because obviously they know something that I don't. Because I'm just utterly confused being in my fucking body, not realizing that these people are just as confused as I was. They're just regurgitating a bunch of things. And also, they came from a different generation who thought much differently. They came from different backgrounds. And not everything was said with malicious intent. So I had to like really step away, and I'm so glad that I lost my health for 13 months. That was very challenging for me because I really enjoy working hard. There's a deep satisfaction that I feel when I work hard. I take a lot of pride in my work. I take a lot of pride in my work. And losing my health took that joy away from me, I felt. And I often said this while I was going through like that period of challenge. I would say I feel like I've been using a hammer my whole life, and now it's time for me to expand the tools on my tool belt. Now, before I lost my health, I lost my health at 26 years old, about to turn 27. Today I'm 28 years old. Since ever since I was 19 years old, I have put so much great information into my head from mentors, from books, events. I mean, dude, I took massive risks for my education, and I'm actually really grateful for that. I'm actually really happy to say that. I'm so happy to say I took massive risks for my education. And I always fucking whatever I wanted to to fucking educate myself on, I fucking found out a way to go fucking figure it out. And over the course of time, just setting my mind to different things and accomplishing them and making them happen and always putting in good information into my head over the course of many years leading up to that 1 year of travel and then coming back home, losing my health. I finally had the time to process what all that experience was and look at it and comb through it and be aware of what I liked, what I didn't like, what I want, what do I want to do more of, what do I never want to do again, what do I want to like, what kind of people do I want to spend my time with. What I gained was a wealth of experience, and I was able to put myself back into those experiences and be honest about those experiences, because as a person who is a recovering people pleaser and still has many people pleaser tendencies still, it's easy for me to want to like everybody and want to be liked by everybody. And I didn't like feeling negative emotions, and still I don't. However, I would often justify away the negative emotions that I would feel inside, instead of being like, nah, dude, I just don't fucking like this. I don't stand for this. I don't stand for that. Like, absolutely not. This is what I look for in a friendship. This is what is important for me in my life. Oh, man. Yeah, it took a tremendous amount of awareness, man. And I'm so grateful to it. And I think about the next 3 decades of my life, 4 decades, and just think about what I could do with that time, what I can create. I think that's in the cards for me. It's not easy finding out who it is you are, connecting back to your intuition, connecting back to that like feeling you know to be correct. You know what that feeling is? That feeling is your 3-year old self who speaks his or her mind without any kind of like, well, like that's your truth. You've always had it, but we've disconnected from it. And I'll tell you what, it is strange just like having a tremendous amount of faith that things are going to work out with the actions that I take. The amount of fucking trust that I have is nuts. And just like little things that I'm doing, man. Like I work at a restaurant where they serve food that smells so good and it looks so good. I bet, and I've had several of the things there. The food is so delicious, bro. But if I want to eat the food there, yes, I do get a discount. However, like with the discount, I'm still paying like $11 for like a fucking burger or something like that. However, I feel that I can spend like $8 and buy a loaf of bread and peanut butter and jelly and that would actually stretch my dollar out even more. And I also love peanut butter and jelly. But to think about like this one, maybe two time meal versus, something that can feed me for several days, several meals of those days. And I'm saying no, I'm not eating that food, even though I'll be fucking hungry as fuck at work and I can afford it. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna wait till I get home in like 3 hours. And then sometimes I'll get lucky where like there'll be extra food. Man, I got saved by the bell several times, man. And then I looked at my tips and I had a little bit over 200 bucks, and I was like, easily this is all going to buying more books. I'm fucking focused. I'm so focused. I'm all in on this. And it's fun. God damn, it's fucking fun, dude. Today I finished the TV show Better Call Saul, and then I finished it a couple hours ago, and I've just been like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, what the fuck do I do? I'm like, should I watch a movie? Should I what should I do? I'm like, oh, such a good show. Should I like watch Breaking Bad for the third time? And I this is a lesson I have to learn over and over and over again, which is the journey is the best part. It's not about the end of the journey. It's about the journey. Because when you get to the end of the journey, it never feels how you think it's gonna feel. You're gonna be There's often sadness at the end of it because you're just like, number one, it didn't solve the problems you thought it was gonna solve, and then now it's like, fuck, dude, like, the fuck do I do now? And then you gotta find that next thing that engages you fully, and that's not always easy to find. And then you start to have like a crisis and shit. I know this was supposed to be about like finding out who it is that you are, but I don't really have much to like offer. I realize, dude, I don't like really giving advice unless it like comes naturally through storytelling. Like, but I don't like the intention of I'm about to teach you something. Like, oh, hey, let me teach you something really quick. I feel like there's so much of that online. And for me, I just feel like, okay, like, who are these people who are giving advice? Because everybody gives advice. And it's like, well, what makes you better than others? What makes your advice so good? And like, I don't trust a lot of the people online because I'm like, okay, you're giving me this advice, but like, who are you? Who are you? Like, are you really living a congruent ass life, or are you putting on a persona for social media? Which, hey, some people make a living that way, and that's totally fucking fine, dude. Like, no hate to that whatsoever. But that's just not how I want to really go about it, because I still feel like I don't know what the fuck's going on. My intuition seems to know. My intuition seems to know what the fuck's gonna happen in like the next 10 fucking steps. Cause it's like, it has me doing the most fucking counterintuitive shit that I'm like, okay, I guess Like logically, this seems like this is taking me further from where I want to go, but like I'm fully trusting you because you haven't failed me yet. But yeah, like I like characters. I like people. Like I want to fall in love with the person, and from that, like I'll listen to what they have to say. Like I'm looking at this book right now. It's called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. And you read this book, you're just like, fuck, bro. Like, I fucking love you as a character, dog. Like, this is it's a book about a trip he takes to Vegas with his lawyer, and it's a true story. And it takes place in the '60s, and they're just on drugs the entire time. But in the book though, he actually has like wisdom. It's a like part. It's such a classic book, bro, because yes, he's on crazy amounts of drugs, but he's still like very like lucid. And he's such a fucking great storyteller, bro. He's like the Michael Jordan of storytelling. You're like, how are you so good at telling stories and you're like so drugged out? And writing is challenging. Like, how are you able to do this really fucking challenging thing while being a dysfunctional human being? It's art. It's like wow. And in there is also like during this trip in to Vegas was like at one point he like picks up a newspaper and he's like going through it, and then he like reads that like Muhammad Ali is not going, like Muhammad Ali's fucking course was Muhammad Ali's trial was in front of the Supreme Court, and Muhammad Ali said, "No Viet Cong ever called me nigger," or something like that. And it's like, wow, this guy, that's where he was during that historical moment. And it also gives you a clear picture of what it was like in the 60s. Just people all drugged out and shit. And sometimes he has some good shit to say, and you're just like, you just eat it up. You're like, because I fucking love this guy. So that's the more of the approach I want to take in terms of just being who it is that I am. And sometimes I go on rants and some things I'm like, okay, I feel like I can get value here, I can teach here. But in terms of like, I'm just going to teach you because I'm the guru, I mean, there's nothing, I want to say there's nothing guru-ish about me. Like you hear me talk about myself in this video, I talked about how I can literally go down as a fucking historical figure in my life. I think that's in the cards for me, to be honest with you. I really do. And at the same time, I'm just being honest, bro. Like I'm not making much money right now, but I'm making something, and I'm working at this restaurant. I'm trying to make this work. I'm just trying to figure this shit out on the spot, bro. I'm just bringing you along with me. But I think over time, once I do make it, and my success is undeniable, I think that's when people will really start to pay attention because they're gonna be like, "Oh wow, look at where he was at. He was broke and he was struggling, but like this is how he viewed it. This was his mindset through the whole process, and you get to download how it is that I have dealt with challenge and struggle and how I view the journey on my way to success. And I think that is going to inspire a tremendous amount of people. And I think I'm going to make a massive difference there because I don't think this is something that's really talked about enough in terms of like for young entrepreneurs. Like, I feel like a lot of us are sold like this dream, this dream of a perfect life. And the reality is, there's no perfect life. Life really is just a series of a bunch of problems that you have to solve over and over and over and over and over again. But what makes life a game are the problems that you're attempting to solve. The problem I'm attempting to solve right here with you is making a living being myself. That's the problem I am solving right now. And yes, there are problems, there are challenges, but that's going to be the case no matter what path that I'm going to take. However, these challenges mean more to me and they're more exciting for me and they're just so fucking juicy in my fucking body, bro. So I would love to get, or at least help the younger generation really see like, yo, the gift you have is time. That doesn't mean slack off. That doesn't mean be a fucking fucktard and get addicted to shit because you have time. It's more so of like, hey, for those who are ambitious and who want more out of life and don't even like going to bars and nightclubs and all that kind of shit, and maybe you're socially awkward and you're trying to figure out how to talk to people and but like you're too smart for your own good because you're always in your head, you love to think, but like in order to like connect with people you have to get outside of your head. So it's like, I relate to this so much. But the people who are going to be successful one day, like the actual leaders, like the people who are similar to me, people who you just know inevitably they're going to win. Like you just know those people. You're like, dude, like if that person stays alive, bro, like they're gonna win. And I want to help those young people like realize, like, bro, enjoy the motherfucking time you have right now while you're attempting to like solve for these problems. Enjoy this shit. Be grateful for the progress that you make. Be grateful for the actions that you take because success is 80% mindset, bro. I work at a fucking restaurant, bro. I live with my parents, but I see myself as a success because I'm doing something that means a lot to me. And every time I post, it's a feeling of success. Like, yes. The way you think is so important. It's everything, man. The mind is powerful. It's a very powerful tool, and it's not easy to understand, at least initially, at least your own psychology. It takes time, bro. It takes time to develop self awareness and to like figure out who it is that you are. It does take a lot of challenge because I think what challenge does is it centers you in the present and it forces you to like pull together resources to make something happen. Jiu-jitsu is great for awareness because jiu-jitsu makes you aware of your entire body all at once. Jiu-jitsu is such an honest place because your truest self shows up on the mat. Your truest self. How you deal when the odds are stacked against you. How you talk to yourself in defeat. How do you talk to yourself in victory? How do you talk to yourself when you're in a good position? How do you think when you're in a bad position? It reveals myself back to me. I think it's very important to continuously be humbled. I think it's very important to be humbled as a human being because our ego, it likes to spread its wings and distort reality. And the thing is, when reality gets distorted, how can we possibly take appropriate action to make us better? It's like we're trying to get through Los Angeles with the map of Chicago. First and foremost, you need a fucking accurate map. You need a fucking map of fucking Los Angeles. And when you're humbled, it makes you look around and realize, like, this is where I am. This is where I am. And we tend to get really narrow when, like, the ego has control of the wheel, meaning we become less open to certain things. We become less likely to engage in a conversation with somebody because we may judge them or how they look, how they talk. We shut ourselves off to the world and we sit in our own stories of self righteousness. But when you're humbled and when you come to this place where it's like, damn, bro, like I know nothing, that's when you're open to everything. And then life suddenly becomes a playground again because you're going through it very openly. It takes a lot of mental strength to let go, a lot of mental strength. It's not easy to let go. But those who are able to do it with consistency, those who are able to do it with consistency, I believe to be very mentally strong, mentally and emotionally strong. Anyway, I really, it's been almost 40 minutes I've been recording this. I feel like I've been just like rambling about nothing for like the last 35 minutes. I can't even believe that much time fucking flew by so fast. What the fuck did I even talk about? Ugh, whatever. I'm sure it was helpful in some way. All right. Peace.